Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Now we're going to go over the updates since the last video. First things first, Abster, generational dip here, as you can see from the title of the video. This is a generational entry. 50% down from all-time highs, from the top to the bottom, 73%. And this was bought up very quickly. I think someone sold like, I don't know, a ton worth all in one clip here. They kind of got screwed on the slippage. I don't know why they did it all in one clip, but it is what it is, whatever. It gave a lot of people an opportunity to buy at a very cheap price. And yeah, if you didn't catch that move, that's perfectly fine because we are still at an insane dip from the all-time high. Now, I'm a big believer in buying when the thesis makes sense and selling when the thesis either invalidates or plays out. So, at 15 mil, I was still willing to buy. Now, I didn't buy personally because I've already added all that I wanted in terms of my allocation. But in terms of if I had no position and I saw this at 15 mil, the thesis hasn't played out. The thesis is still going to continue, right? Or it might invalidate, we don't know. But the thesis is still going to continue. And when the thesis continues, it's going to go higher than 15 mil. So I would be buying at that price. But obviously, I'm not going to deny that if you could buy at a cheaper price, it's obviously a better thing to do. So now we are at a 50% decline from the all-time highs. This is essentially a 50% discount. And if you want to get some Abster, this is a generational dip. I truly believe we are going to go crazy. I already explained the thesis many times, but we're going to go over just updates today. And yeah, super, super bullish. Getting it at a discount is always ideal, but you don't always get these opportunities. You know, these 50% declines I don't think really happened. Sorry, I have to change to the brush. I don't think 50% declines really happened here too much. Maybe this. Maybe that was a 50%, but I think it was like 30%. I could be wrong. Anyways, we are at a good decline here. If you want a cheaper price on Abster, this is a very good price to buy it at. Once again, I'm the type of person to simply buy when the thesis makes sense, but I can't deny a dip is very nice. But yeah, let's get into it. What are the updates? I think the biggest update is Bigcoin. Okay, now what is Bigcoin? I'm not trying to shill Bigcoin, but the main thing you have to know about Bitcoin is what it did for the abstract ecosystem. And this is the benefit of Bitcoin. It ran very, very hard. I would say this is like a Ponzi-nomic game. It's got Ponzi-nomics, kind of like a Ponzi scheme, very reflexive to the upside and the downside. That's what we saw, a very massive surge in price and a very massive dip in price. But yeah, I guess the fact of the matter is it went up and went down. But during this up period, what was the market doing? Well, it wasn't really doing anything, right? Look at Bitcoin for the past few weeks. It's not been doing anything. Now, keep in mind, this is the 1 hour chart. So this was only a couple days ago, about a week ago. But the most important thing to understand is this is just one app that is on Abstract, one game. And this game was able to bring a ton of attention to Abstract Chain. If you actually look, Abstract Chain was ahead of Pulse Chain when Big was going crazy. And if you actually looked on the deck screener total 24-hour trending section, Bitcoin was actually up here. Bitcoin is still like a little bit close, but yeah, getting a bit further behind. But yeah, the most important thing you have to take away from this is that this is just one app, and the biggest part of the Abster thesis is abstract, right? Because ultimately, why we're buying Abster is we want to bet on Abstract's chain. The secondary part is what's the best way to bet on Abstract's chain, and that would be with Abster. But ultimately, we want exposure to Abstract's chain, and I think Big going crazy really just shows the power of, I guess, Abstract. I think Abstract is going to continue to have these big apps that end up running. I mean, if Bitcoin was able to do this in a down period of the market, maybe people were bored and they wanted to play this game, then I think in a good market, imagine how many more things we will see that are going to go crazy. And I think a lot of apps are coming to Abstract that have potential for this, including the meme coins as well, to bring attention. But yeah, we're gonna have so much marketing. We're gonna have so many people bridging to abstract. There will be an abstract season. I'm so convinced. Just like we saw a base season, there will be an abstract season, and abstract is going to go crazy. Okay, now, yeah, The next thing, speaking about, I guess, marketing and abstract growing, I think Luca and the team, I think they haven't started promoting abstract yet. Now, why would they do this? Why wouldn't they promote abstract now? Well, I've heard Luca say, and this would make sense. Also, I've heard him say in the Inner Igloo on X Spaces that when they have bullish announcements, they do marketing. They want the market to be in a good position because obviously, if you could promote something when there's a lot of hype, you'll garner more attention. So quite obviously, you want to do that. And yeah, I think they haven't even started really promoting the chain. And I think once the market comes back up, I think they'll start promoting the chain a ton more because once things go crazy, once you promote the chain, it's going to go even crazier. But right now, if you're promoting something crypto related when everyone's saying, oh, crypto's done for, too many scams, Bitcoin's done for, meme coins are done for, then it's just not as worth it. So yeah, once we get Bitcoin going up, I think it's going to go, there are going to be many marketing ploys by Abstract, and it's going to go crazy. Now, the next thing is, will Bitcoin go up because, if Bitcoin enters a bear market, then yeah, we could see a bit of a downtrend in abstract. I do have confidence it would come back up because it's actually a good chain. But apart from that, do we think Bitcoin will go up here? Well, I personally think it will. I personally think that countries are going to start buying. I think a lot of countries want to get their hands on Bitcoin. I think we've seen some good progression with the US wanting to buy more Bitcoin. And I think all it takes is one of the big countries to buy, and it will create a chain reaction with all the other big countries. Because let's just say China started buying Bitcoin. Do you think Russia and the US would want to get behind on that? Or do you think they would start buying as well? And when they start buying, what do you think is going to happen? Well, once once the US and China and Russia buy, well, every country is going to follow. And if everyone's buying Bitcoin, the price is going to skyrocket. And there could be a bid war for this. And everyone's going to realize that there's going to be a bid war for this. So once everyone realizes there's going to be a big bid war for it, everyone's going to buy to get in and front run all these countries. And it's going to pump hard. And then Abstract will be promoted. And then what better way to bet on Abstract chain than with the official mascot, right? So yeah, I think it's very crazy what's going to happen. I'm super excited for the rest of this year. But yeah, let's get into a few more abstract specific things. So yeah, this is Brian. I believe he is head of abstract on the Asia side of things. And yeah, they're creating plushies of Abster. These little keychain plushies. I guess not a keychain, but yeah. Um, yeah, men only want one thing, debuting in Korea tomorrow. And then he says, when Abster shows up, everyone shows up. Why am I showing you this? Because of the mindshare. Abster has so much mindshare within the ecosystem, and I could show you just countless examples of Abster in the ecosystem. Literally, he's everywhere. You go on Abstract Chain, you play a couple games, you try to avoid Abster. Try to play games and find games and try to do it in a way where you don't ever see Abster. I think it's impossible. Abster is everywhere, and this is the mindshare you need. Now, this is good for many, many reasons. Okay, number one, have you ever heard someone shilling a coin in a comment section, right? Maybe someone, I don't know, maybe you could use base chain as an example. If you saw someone using Toshi, the character, somewhere, well, chances are they're just trying to shill the meme coin. They want people to buy the meme coin and they want that person to buy, right? They want people to buy the meme coin and then it will pump the meme coin so that they can make money. That's a bit cringe though, isn't it? Well, for Abster, you could promote Abster without promoting the meme coin. So that takes away the cringeness of it. So Abster will continue to be proliferated. And this ties into what Luca Net says about social currencies, right? Social currencies are meme coins in their final form. A social currency is a meme coin with fundamentals. Now, meme coins are different from social currencies, and I think the biggest thing that separates them, you could look at Pengu and look at some meme coins on base like Toshi and compare them. I think the difference is that Pengu is proliferated and they've created a brand around themselves, and they're not only creating a brand to shill their coin. Whereas Toshi, it's hard to say that that's not the case, right? So I think I really like the direction in which Abster the character is being proliferated because of the fact that it's essentially turning into a social currency. And as Lucas says, social currencies are meme coins in their final form. And I truly believe that a social currency, I think everything starts off as a meme coin and then it transitions into a social currency. That's also kind of aligned with what Lucas says. But I really think that if you want your meme coin to last for a while, you have to position yourself to be a social currency. And I think Abster is doing that completely organically just by the fact that he's the mascot of the chain. So that is super, super bullish. And I mean, we've seen this example with other meme coins before. I think Doge is probably the best example of being a social currency because now it's like the meme coin of everything. It's the meme coin. Look, there's even a Doge popping up on TradingView when you type it in. I actually didn't know that. That's cool. But yeah, Dogecoin is now a social currency. It is the meme coin in crypto. Okay, and with that comes potential long-term success. I think if you do not rotate to a social currency, I think that's going to hold you back. And I think we've seen so many examples of maybe Solana meme coins that are created, but then they don't turn into social currencies and they die. And I think that's the reason why, because they don't get turned into social currencies. Whereas Dogecoin, although it's not the best performing asset, it has had its up and its down, and it has come back a good amount, and now I guess it's back down. But I think you get the point. Another one, Shiba Inu. The point is, these social currencies, if given enough time, can run like crazy. And if you are not a social currency, or you're not organically positioning into a social currency, then I think that's holding you back from a high potential of gains, a high potential of your chart going ballistic. I don't think a non-social currency can go ballistic like this. Okay. Now, I think Shiba Inu is a good example. I know many people that were actually in Shiba early, or I've heard many stories, I should say. I don't know them personally, of people that were in Shiba early and they ended up selling too early as well. And I think that you don't want to make these mistakes, obviously, because you could have made a ton more money. So, how do you identify if a coin can go ballistic like this? Well, number one, it does have to be a social currency. I think if you find a coin that's not turning into a social currency or is not a social currency, then it probably won't run this hard. I think it's impossible for it to run this hard. And I think that's why we've seen a lot of Solana meme coins. They top out at like a billion market cap because they go up and then they don't transition into a social currency and then they die. But I like the direction Abster is going. The fact that he's the mascot and the number one bet on Abstract Chain because of the fact that he's so closely tied to the chain and he has so much mindshare within the chain. And yeah, I think Abstract's going to go crazy. What better way to bet on the chain than Abster is my question. And yeah, the mascot is just the best narrative. We've seen it on so many other chains. It's actually funny. I was looking at something Brett related the other day, and they were claiming to be the mascot of base. Well, Toshi tried to do that at 1.2, right? They call themselves the face of the base. And the fact of the matter is, the mascot of the chain is always one of the best narratives. And in Toshi and Brett's examples, they are self proclaiming themselves as the mascot. But in Abster's case, he is the official mascot. We have proof of this. And it's just crazy to me that this is like the best narrative. And I'm super, super excited. Bro, if Bitcoin comes back, it might be, I don't know when it's going to come back. It might be later this year. It might be 2026 or whatever. I don't know. But whenever that happens, Abstract is going to go crazy. They're going to pump out a ton of marketing, and Abster is going to go crazy as well. It is so rare to find a gem like this. And after a 50% retracement, I think this is the best dip you could buy in the market currently. A generational entry has been loading for a while, and now we have a very good dip, 50% from all-time highs. And I think this is one of the best entries you could make to position yourself well for the rest of the year, next year, whenever the thesis plays out. Abstract is going to go crazy, and you don't want to miss it. But yeah, guys, those are the updates. I'll keep you updated if there's anything else that comes out. I hope you learned something from this video, and I'll see you in the next one.